Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Supatease video. And the midnight pre-patch is coming out in basically just a week at this point, and it's going to be out for quite some time, right until March 4th when midnight actually comes out. And during this time, you'll still be able to queue for things like rated PvP, but there's not really an active season. It's just kind of playing for fun, getting used to some of the new changes. Well, a lot of the new changes and mostly pruning that's coming for your specs for this patch. But I wanted to construct a tier list. This one is a prediction for the pre-patch, thus it may be incorrect. It likely will be incorrect, but I will update it as soon as we go live. This is me anticipating the changes that are coming for the classes based off the testing that I've done on midnight and my expectations on how that's going to kind of transfer over and fit at a lower level of PvP than what midnight will be, which is about 10 levels difference. I made the same tier list for the previous pre-patch for the War Within, and honestly I was pretty close. I was pretty close to dead on with a lot of the predictions. And as always, if you want to make sure that you're staying up to date with changes related to World of Warcraft, educational and entertaining content, then make sure to smash that subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. Now, first specialization here is Affliction Warlock. This spec is probably the most dramatically changed of any spec. Your spender is completely changed. It's now spamming UA on a target. I'm not really expecting it to do too well, but at the same time, they nerfed Shadow Bolt by 60% before the pre-patch. So what on earth is going on there? How could Shadow Bolt be so OP that they had to nerf it by 60% before coming into this play? Because when you play at max level on midnight, Shadow Bolt is not that OP. Shadow Bolt is Garbanzo. It does nothing. Basically, the harvest ability is your only way to really do damage at max level and stacking UA on a target. So I was surprised when they nerfed Shadow Bolt so heavily for Warlock. So it's got me in this weird spot where maybe it could be good, but it's kind of a little bit underperforming at max level. So I think for the pre-patch at the moment, my estimations is kind of a safe middle where like they nerfed it by 60%. So there's got to be something there that could likely be abused. Maybe it's a set bonus synergy that I'm not considering, because obviously the midnight testing I've done is with midnight set bonuses. We will still have the War Within set bonuses. There may be something in there that's kind of creeping up to for your power levels at that lower level. So, but I think it's probably safer to put it there at the mid. Main reason is because I think there's going to be some melee DPS that are very hard for you to deal with. And now you're losing that secondary school of magic with Malefic Rapture being retired. Now, Arcane Mage, another specialization that got a big hammer nerf right before the pre-patch on Arcane Barrage damage. And that's likely because at max level, it absolutely KOs people. So, before that nerf came through, I would have given this a very high ranking. I think it may still be really good, even with the nerfs that they've applied to it. It really just depends on, how accurate those changes were. I'm kind of leaning towards an A or a B tier at the moment, but I think I'm going to go A for now on this bracket. Although Arcane, much like Affliction, is you're losing a lot of mobility, so you're gonna notice that right off the rip when you log in on the pre-patch. You're not as untouchable as you were before. You lost your knockback, lost a lot of damage reduction, so you got to get really good at fake casting and make sure you got precognition and PvP, because that's my experience in Arcane and Midnight, is that you got to get good at fake casting because people will be on you now. You're not gonna be able to kind of just be untouchable the entire time. Arms Warrior, I kind of expect this one to not be too great. The only main advantage for Warrior is that your self-healing is going up significantly. That's like really the only thing that's making me from wanting to put it on D tier, because I think Warrior, even right now in the War Within, is not great. And then the rework coming through is like the only advantage is that your self-healing is really going up. Another advantage is that the mobility of all the casters is coming down. So maybe that's something that could be a plus. You'll be able to get more uptime, but I feel like they took a lot of your burst damage away, at least at max level on midnight. So if that's translating over to the pre-patch as well, I think it'll probably be a little bit underwhelming. So I think probably middle of the road is probably a safer pick. And really, it's just the self-healing, the second wind healing that I've seen so far that is making me think it may have a chance. And again, I could be wrong here, and I will update this as soon as it goes live and we know all of that information coming in here. But this is just a tier list to give you an idea of what to check out on your spec and what could be really good for it, so that when you're logging in, it's not like, oh my god, what just happened, my whole class is completely different, you know what you're doing. So I'm just trying to get some helpful information about this as well. Assassination Rogue is, I've not seen anybody doing well with it on midnight. It was good in the War Within, right? It was pretty decent, but I think it could be underwhelming. There's not really any saving grace for you. You are the most negatively impacted also, probably of any spec in the game, by the diminishing return change, which is that you can't garrote someone 3 times. You can only do it twice. And I also believe that it's not AoE anymore. So you can't AoE garrote 3 times. You can only do it twice on single target, and you can only cheap shot twice. So I think assassination will probably feel weak relative to a lot of the other specializations. Augmentation is kind of just like up in the air. It could be really good. I think it's probably still a cheesy one-shot. I'm going to put it down here with assassination, but it could randomly be good. This is something that like I don't really want to do because I feel like I'm going to be opening Pandora's box here by doing it, but I actually think the tank specs are OP. They are giving tanks like giga buffs for PvE reasons, and giving them a bunch of damage and a bunch of cool new stuff, particularly Prot Paladin. So like I could see that, like I don't know which tank other than Prot Paladin for sure will be overpowered. For sure it will be overpowered. It's probably the best spec actually at max level in Midnight right now. But I don't know about the other tanks because I don't really see them a lot, right? But I think Blood and Guardian stand a pretty good chance of actually being good, just because of the damage that they're giving to them in their baseline kit. I actually could see these standing to be actually strong. Beast Mastery Hunter, I kind of expect this thing to just full throttle. It's really easy and simplified, and I think it's going to full throttle, run people over. At least it is right now at Midnight max level, so we'll kind of have to wait and see. Brewmaster, hard to say. Brewmaster is one that I'm the least familiar with, so I'm probably safer putting it middle of the pack or lower, lower, somewhere down here. Feral Druid, I'm not expecting to be insane. The rework for it is great. It plays better, but as far as performance, I think the only thing you'll notice is that you're very tanky now. Your regrowth healing, your bear form healing are much stronger in Midnight, but I think it's probably like your damage output, I'm not sure if it'll be there. So I think it's probably safer to put it down here. Boomkin, I do actually think will be good. I think you're tanky. Basically, nothing is changing except that you press a keybind to go into Eclipse, which is more on demand damage. I think Boomkin will at least be A tier, maybe possibly S tier. Devourer, Demon Hunter, I think it depends on what content you're doing, but I kind of think it's gonna be one of the few specs that actually still one shots, but I don't think it's as tanky as Havoc. So I think I'll probably safer putting here on A tier for the pre-patch. I think Havoc might be better as far as survivability. But for leveling world PvP, Devour Demoner might be the best spec in the game. Demonology for Warlock for sure is good. You've just got so much in your kit. They give you so much crowd control. You have Coil, Stun, Howl, and you can get Kick separate from your Axe Toss at the same time. Instant Dreadstalkers, like it's just this thing's remarkable. Destro I do expect to be at least A tier. Just solid overall kit. Not really too much is changing. Just Shadowburn's now more of an execute mechanic as opposed to like a spammable ability. But I think it's just got good damage, at least from the testing that I've done at Midnight. Maybe the pre-patch is not. Maybe it's up here still. We kind of have to wait and see. Devastation Evoker for sure is A tier as well. I think it's not too much again is changing. You get the double fly, which is nice, but your overall kind of gameplay loop is pretty much the same. Discipline Priest, I kind of expect to be A tier. Now maybe the Void Weaver set bonuses will carry it a little bit higher, but I think A tier is probably a safe spot for it. Ellie has been very weak. Honestly, I've been seeing people playing Stormbringer, trying to get some damage, but from my testing at max level Midnight, it's been the weakest spec, and I expect that would be the case because it's, in the War Within, it's also not really that great, and it's just purely a numbers reason why it's down this low. I think they've done a good job reworking Shaman and bringing the spells density down, but the numbers are just, at least in PvP, they're not there from what I've tested. Enhancement Shaman will likely feel like pretty good. I think it's got a really good damage right now in its Doom Winds. At least at max level, I expect that would transfer over as well to the pre-patch. Frost DK is probably kind of meh. I'm going to put it on C tier for now. From the testing I've seen on Holy is just completely outshining it. Again, much like Ellie, it's just kind of a numbers game. All these guys are kind of just a numbers game. Their numbers are just kind of low at the moment. Fire Mage, this might come as a surprise, but I think could be S tier. I think that Scorch hits remarkably hard. They did nerf it, but I think it's even with the nerf, it's still going to hit really hard. So I've got Fire Mage up here. Frost Mage, I think it's kind of more mid. I think Arcane's got bigger burst in it. It's not unviable, but it's like you'll probably feel close to the same power level as you do right now in the War Within, which is kind of average. Fury Warrior, much like Arms, the self-healing. Main improvement for this is the self-healing. I don't know which one's going to be better, but really only the self-healing and the fact that mobility is coming down. Maybe you guys end up being decent if you can kill Warlocks. Kind of depends on if people shift into a Warlock Shadow Priest meta or not. Havoc Demon Hunter I expect to be really good. It has insane healing at the moment with Leech. you're just a god as far as survivability. Holy Priest, I kind of expect to be meh. In my opinion, I think it's the weakest healer on the beta. It's the easiest healer to play, but numbers wise, it's I think going to be on the lower end. That's just this is again all prediction, could be wrong, but that's how the vibes are going for me from my testing on the max level for Midnight. Holy Paladin, I expect to be one of the best healers, mostly just because you can do all instant. It's got really good damage weaving currently on its design for it. So if you're playing the Weapons of Order, I think that likely you'll be doing really good here. Marksmanship Hunter is easily still A tier or higher, possibly. It's even though with the longer aim shot cast, it still does really good damage. Mistweaver Monk, maybe a bit of a surprise, but if the testing from my max level experience converts over directly into pre-patch, it may be the best healer. It's one of the harder healers to play, given the pruning that they've done to a lot of other specs and how much you got to go in and out of melee range and switch your targeting from allies to enemies. This adds like a pretty higher level of dexterity required to play it, but I think it is actually really good. Outlaw Rogue, I don't expect to be too insane. Maybe it's better than Assassination from some of the testing I've done, but they streamlined it a bit to make it easier to understand. But again, I think it's just a numbers game. I don't expect it to be like the spec of the patch. Clip me saying that right now as a prediction, and then we log in and it's like, oh my god, Outlaw Rogue is the best spec. Could happen. Preservation Evoker, I think it's just kind of meh. I feel like losing Spirit Bloom as a big heal may come back to bite quite a bit as far as your overall performance. But you still do decent damage, I think, at least. So I don't think you're going to be completely unviable, but I'm not expecting you to be insane. Prot Warrior, again, like the other tanks, I could see randomly actually being OP, and I'm like pretty certain Prot Paladin is actually the best spec in the game. At least it is at max level with the changes that have come through for it. Resto Druid, it's getting a lot of positive reviews. I think it's like you couldn't really go any worse than you already were in the War Within as far as tuning. So I think it's probably fair to put it somewhere here on A tier. I kind of think that Holy Pally Mistweaver are a bit better. Obviously, the rest of the druids that I've seen on Midnight are like literally rank 1 druids. I don't know if the Paladins or Mistweavers are of that level. But I think A tier is an okay spot for it. Ret Paladin is definitely still at least A tier. Could see it still even being S tier. It just has really good damage, but you will feel the changes because they removed a lot of your crowd control. So they just focus on bonking people instead, I guess. Restoration Shaman, they did a good job bringing the ability count down with this one, but I'm not sure about the numbers, if the numbers will be there or not. The main advantage is you don't have to worry about Earthen Wall Totem anymore because it's gone. People running out of it, don't have to worry. It's gone, bro. You know, the trauma of people running out of your totems, you don't have to deal with it anymore. I'm kind of wanting to put it here. Maybe we'll put Prez a little lower just to separate this, but Resto Shaman, I don't. It could be higher than this, right? Like it feels weird to put it here because I feel like Resto is actually one of the best healers in the patch for the War Within, but I think with the class changes everything else, it might fall a little bit from that point. Shadow is really good. Shadow's a really good spec at the moment. It's one of the most fun ones I've played, even losing the stun and losing your Void Swap. You still do a lot of damage with your Void Volley from your Void form. It's like your big burst moment. Subtlety Rogue, I taking a risk here. Taking a risk with this one, putting it onto S tier as a prediction. It has really good damage still, even with the diminishing return changes. The numbers, at least at max level, Subtlety is much better than the other two specs of overall output, and it's the easiest ever to play it. So this could be the time to really have some fun, like abusing it in the pre-patch if that is the case. But it's still kind of wait and see, but that's what I'm sort of anticipating, right? It's a little bit of also like, these are like the specs that I would want to log in first day of the pre-patch to make sure that they aren't giga broken and have some cheesy fun with them, basically. Survival Hunter, a lot of people are upset with this one. They're losing a lot of utility. You're losing all of it, but the damage is still pretty good on it. I think the damage will likely carry it. But obviously the utility lost will be felt. And then Unholy DK, if it's the same as max level at Midnight, this is going to be the best spec in the game. I almost feel like I need a separate tier for Unholy. And it's the best fantasy, best flavor. Like, I would log on to DK. And I didn't think it could, like, you guys are eating good. You guys have got a good last patch in the War Within. It's been a while since you've been good. And now maybe you get a patch in Midnight also. We'll have to wait and see. Vengeance Demon Hunter. Now, you've got some cheesy mechanics, I think, with, like, double fear sigils. Like, maybe there's some cheesy CC build with this one. So I could see it possibly being viable. Windwalker Monk, I'm not too impressed. Like, it's not really, I feel like it's probably just going to feel like where Warrior is still. These guys kind of just having a tough time. Damage output is, the rework for it is good. They've reduced the ability count condensed abilities together, but I feel like you're still kind of just dependent on cooldown windows in order to actually accomplish what you want to achieve. So probably going to feel more mid. Again, this is a prediction tier list based off of my expectations from testing at max level and seeing how the classes operate moving from the War Within as well. So we're going to try and calculate this in. It's more so this is a tier list of like, these are the specs that I'm logging in like day one. Actually, I'm going to make a Devour Demon Hunter day one just because I want to see what it can do. But this is where I'm kind of feeling the vibes right now for the pre-patch, and I will update this when the pre-patch goes live and do some extensive testing as well, because there's going to be a lot of time with the pre-patch. So if you want to play something that's really fun and have some good times with it before the pre-patch is gone, because that's like the best thing to do with the pre-patch is just abuse what's broken, because there's no rated season, and just have some cheesy fun. That's usually the time to do it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. Just a fun little video, kind of just anticipating what I think is going to be really fun and strong when the patch comes out, and could be totally wrong. But I'm hoping it won't, and we'll see if my calculations, how good is my prediction machine. That'll be the test, because I will bring this up when we do the official video when the patch comes out. So thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.